Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Thursday. Can you see the finish line? Friday's just around the corner. It is Thursday. It's awesome to be here. Fantastic show planned for you today. Before we do anything, though, I keep looking into this camera, and it's definitely time to dye my hair. Would you not agree? Hop in the comments, hop in the chats, send me an email. My hair almost looks white. I mean, it almost looks white. I look way too old with this white hair. I think it's time to consult my friends at Just for Men and get this gray out of my hair. It's got to be time. Many of the female viewers depend on me looking sharp and young and fit. And I hate to disappoint you guys. There's a lady that stalks me in the chat. I think her name's Tennille. She's someone that I'm sure wants me to dye my hair. I think there's another young lady named Connie that's in the chat most nights. I'm sure she wants me to dye my hair. So anyway, you guys hop in the chats, in the comments. Make sure you're slamming the likes. Right now, we need 10,000 likes on this show. I have to tip my hat to you guys that watch the podcast over Apple. You did a great job fighting the algorithm and fighting the spammers who tried to take this show from a 4.9 rating to a 4.8 rating. You guys went to work and we're back up to a 4.9 rating, but we need to continue in on this fight. This is very important. You get these people that spam you with these 1-star reviews. They don't really mean it. They just don't want us to have the success that we deserve. So I need you guys listening over Apple, listening to this podcast. It's a very simple thing. Just click that 5-star review. It'll take you 2 seconds. You can do it right now while I'm talking. We'll wait. And write a little comment, write a review in there. But let's keep those 5-star reviews, and I'm being dead serious because that's how they rig the algorithm against you. They spam you with the 1-star reviews, lower your rating. That puts you down lower in the rankings. I need us fighting that. I need us doing it with the likes. I need to make sure if you're watching it over YouTube that you're getting the notification so you know when the show starts. You get that alert so you're here at the start of the show. It's actually... The conversation we're having now about how you can support the show actually segues perfectly into a new segment that we're going to offer up on the show. This segment is not my idea. We have a very old man named John Hadley that works on the show. John is 76, 77 years old. I gave him the job as a favor. He works out of his nursing home. There's John Hadley right there. He's a producer on the show. That's a younger picture. I think John at that time is probably 62, 63. Now he's in his late to mid 70s. And he had an idea that he wanted executed on the show. So it's a big day for the audience. He has insisted, and we will blame John if this does not go well. He has insisted that we incorporate the audience into the show. And so, I told you guys about my friends that created this approval rating app for the show. I don't know if you guys can see this on my phone, but that's the approval rating app on my phone so that you guys can hop it. You know how I like to talk about people in a very nuanced, layered way. They created this approval rating app so that you could participate in that process. And so John, he wrote a letter. John doesn't email, he writes letters. He's that old. Wrote a letter asking that we incorporate the people that download the approval rating app, incorporate them into the show and say, hey, Jason, there's a guy named Joshua Alexander. Let's bring him onto the show and he can debate you about something over the approval rating app. And so we're thinking about making this a daily part of the show, an opportunity for you guys to come on, debate me about some silly opinion you have. I'll set you straight. And so I told Hadley that if this does not go well, We're going to cut off the commissary money that we send and put on his books at his nursing facility. So let's hope that Joshua Alexander represents you guys in a good fashion and does a good job and can stand toe-to-toe with me for a few minutes in a debate. I doubt if he'll be able to do it. But if he can stand toe-to-toe, I think we'll make this a regular feature and make you guys a part of the show. Download the Approval app, fill it out. If I find something you say on there interesting or stupid, I'll have you on the show, as I will Josh Alexander. And Josh gave some crazy rating of Shannon Sharp, and I'll set him straight here at the end of this show. So I'm looking forward to that, a new segment, a way to bring you guys into the show. I keep telling you, I want fearless soldiers. I want people in the Fearless Army. I tell you what, I didn't even think about this. And Hadley, if you were as bright as me, you would have thought of this when you gave the suggestion. If Josh Alexander actually does a decent job, I'm going to send him one of these, oh my God, hold on. Swung around to the back of my neck. But I'm going to send him one of these Fearless Army dog tags. Can I find, what happened? Oh, here it is. I'm going to send him one of these Fearless Army dog tags if he can just survive and do a halfway decent job in the discussion with me. I doubt it, so I doubt if I'll be sending him one of these, but if he does a good job, I'll send him a little gift and make him an official Fearless Army soldier. If he does a good job, and I'll make that same offer to any of the rest of you that may be silly enough to want to come on the show and challenge me. Other than that today, other than Josh at the end, it's just going to be you and me, baby. I got something I want to talk about that has spun out over social media and spun out from my appearance last night on Tucker Carlson's show. There's a little controversy about me getting cut off at the end of that show. We'll get into it here in a second. Before I do that, I want to take care of one of our great friends and a group that I truly believe in. Bank on yourself. Have you been given bad advice about your retirement savings? Were you told to max out your 401k? The Wall Street casino loves to roll the dice with your hard-earned life savings. But the only thing Wall Street guarantees is that they will always get paid whether you win or lose. Boy, do I know that. Thankfully, there's a better way to grow your nest egg. Bank on Yourself is a guaranteed and predictable way to grow your hard-earned money. This retirement plan alternative gives you 100% control of your money, plus tax-free income in retirement. Bank on Yourself provides guaranteed, predictable growth and retirement income with no luck, skill, or guesswork required. Your plan doesn't go backwards when the markets tumble. Both your principal and growth are locked in. You'll know what your tax rate will be in retirement. 0. Under current tax law, which protects you from the coming tax tsunami. You're also in control. Unlike 401ks or IRAs, with Bank on Yourself, you get access to your money for any purpose at any time with no questions asked and no government penalties or restrictions on how much income you can take or when you can take it. This is critical, guys. Joe Biden has signed up 87,000 new IRS employees. What do you think they're going to do? Screw with you, screw with us. Get the peace of mind that Bank on Yourself provides. You'll know the guaranteed minimum value of your retirement savings on the day you plan to tap into them and at every point along the way. Now we get a free report with all the details on how Bank on Yourself strategy adds guarantees, predictability, tax savings, and control to your financial plan. Just go to bankonyourself.com/fearless. That's bankonyourself.com/fearless. Take care of that for me, guys. Go to Bank on Yourself. Joe Biden sending the whole tax army after all of us. Protect yourself. Bank on yourself. Smart thing to do. All right, let's get into today's topic. And also, I'm telling you, every time I look at my hair, I'm just disgusted with myself. And I know that many of the female viewers are very bothered by my gray hair. But let me get into. I'm making light of today's show, and it's not a light show. It's actually kind of a heavy show. But I don't want us sitting here all heavy and depressed. But here is Let me give you a little foundational piece. If you didn't see me on Tucker Carlson last night, probably because you were in bed or because you're stupid and silly and you don't watch me on Tucker Carlson. If you didn't see it, we'll play the in full 4-minute clip, and then I'll give you a little background about what really went down. So here I am last night on Tucker Carlson.
History, the Republican Party's frontrunner in the upcoming presidential race, indicted on charges that didn't seem real. Donald Trump gave a speech last night, which we, as you know, took live from Mar-a-Lago. We're still trying to figure out the implications of all of this, so we thought we would ask Jason Whitlock, who has been thinking a lot about it. He's the host of Fearless, and he joins us tonight. So what did you think of yesterday?
Tucker, it took me to the Bible, quite honestly. All times are biblical, but man, this really seems like we're in some end times here. And it really took me to 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14 through 18. Verse 14, the Bible talks about you can't have partnership. The righteous can't have partnership with the lawless. And that's not me calling Trump the most righteous person in the world, but anybody looking at this knows that Alvin Bragg and the Democratic and the leftists are lawless. They don't believe in fair justice, equal treatment under the law. They don't believe in that. And so you can't have partnership with them. And then if you go down to verse 17, Paul talks about God's instruction that you got to come out from among them and separate. That's what God instructed. And that's where I think we actually are, Tucker, is these guys are so far removed from the truth, so far removed from any of the values that made this country great. We can't really have partnership with them. And my mindset went to secession, that we have to separate. We have to come out from among them. They're so unrighteous. They're so unclean that, finding common ground is impossible with people who think men can become women, who told us, hey, look, we just want two men to be able to get married, and there's no slippery slope. And that was a lie. And we've seen the slippery slope. Now it's drag queens reading books to kids. Now it's taking kids to drag queen shows. Now it's mutilating kids and infecting them with gender dysphoria and using it as an excuse to cut off their breast or cut off their penis. You can't have peace. You can't have partnership with these people. There are so many lies stacked on top of lies, from the whole Black Lives Matter, George Floyd deal, and the police are just out indiscriminately killing black men and it's so dangerous because of the police. That's all a lie and everybody knows it. We can't find common ground with people that have no respect for the truth, no respect for justice, no respect for fairness. We have to think about going our separate ways. And whether that's through secession or whether that's through some sort of national divorce, it has to be on the table, because you just can't find common ground with people this delusional who think that they're God and they can make up the rules. And so I don't see a pathway forward for those of us that respect America's founding, have traditional values, have a faith in God. We got to separate, and I don't care how it's done, but I just don't see a way to coexist with people this far removed from truth.
I think most decent people, no matter where they live or who they vote for, want to find common ground. I don't see any effort to find common ground from the other side. Do you? Or looking for it, want to see it, don't see it?
No. And look, there was a time I had many liberal friends that I loved, and I could find common ground with them. But now, if I have to agree that men can get pregnant, I have to agree that children should be subjected to drag queens. Can't do it.
Yeah. Last question. Do you think that there is underneath it all, maybe in hiding, a large group of people who are fundamentally liberals or Democrats who actually do agree with you but are afraid to say so and will at some point, make their voices heard? Or do you think they just don't exist anymore?
I think they exist.
Some people want to occupy the corner office.
So that triggered a lot of people over social media. I was trying to give the final answer to the final question, and people over social media said, oh man, they just cut the commercial, they just cut you off, they didn't let you finish. This is Fox News, uncomfortable with Jason Whitlock spelling out the full truth. And I want to say, I want to clear up the controversy because it's everywhere. People lit up my Twitter feed and people asked me, I did an interview this morning and that was one of the first questions. Someone asked me, hey, what happened with you in Fox News? I want to clear it up. Fox News did not do anything wrong here. This was not them trying to censor me. This is them just running out of time and up against a commercial break. Tucker being so engrossed in the conversation that, he blew past the stop sign and asked a follow-up question. And they needed to get to commercial and they went to commercial break. I know on the other side of this, Tucker seemed to be a tad bit irritated or it seemed a little disheveled, and that has triggered a lot of people. And it's like, this is another example of Fox censoring the truth. It's not, and I'll say that, and look, you guys know me. No one's telling me what to say, and I'm not playing games with anybody, or I'm not protecting my relationship with Fox News, because at the end of the day, I don't care about my relationship with Fox News, and that's not meant as some negative statement. But you listen to this show, you watch this show, do you really think I'm sitting around going, ooh, I better not say this because X, Y, and Z may happen? It's not the way that I operate. Fox News put me on air knowing I was going to quote the Bible, that I was going to quote 2 Corinthians, that I was going to say that I think the pathway forward for us as believers is secession. They knew all of that and put me on the air. I can't say they were happy that that's what I was going to do. I can tell you that Tucker had no problem with what I was going to do. I cannot say that Fox News was overjoyed that I was going to take the Trump conversation where I took it, but they knew and they allowed it, and hats off to them. I understand that many of you have problems with Fox News. Election night 2020, I had a big problem with Fox News calling Arizona. Didn't like their coverage, didn't like a lot of things that were going on. They seemed to be running scared. And that all may be true. There's a lot of guys over at Fox News that that are playing footsie with the uniparty. That may all be true. I'm unaware of it. I'm oblivious to it. Just keeping it real. I watched Tucker Carlson. That's pretty much it. I don't know what's going on the other shows for the most part. Occasionally, I will see something on Fox News, but for the only thing that I watch on a regular basis is Tucker Carlson. That's not a shot at anybody else. I'm sort of weird. I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch live sporting events, watch Tucker Carlson, and then I catch the rest of my news over what comes across my Twitter feed and directs me to other content. Occasionally, I will. I think his name is Pete Hegseth or whatever. I think he lives here in Nashville or anyway, he works for Fox News, and I've seen this dude set in, I think, for Tucker one night, or maybe he set in for Jesse Waters, and he gave one of the most biblical monologues I'd ever heard. It was one of the greatest things I ever heard. That made me perk up and take notice. But I'm no expert on any of the other talent at Fox News. I get invited on their shows all the time. I tend to If Will Cain asked me to come on, whatever he's doing, I try to make that happen because I know Will Cain. He comes from a sports background. I like Will Cain. I find Jesse Waters decent. Occasionally, I'll go on his show. But they ask a lot. I tend to limit my discussions to Tucker because like his audience, like how he frames me up, like how I want to be in Tucker's conversation because I think the show's very important. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, I've been on their shows. They've asked quite a bit. I tend not to go on. I don't have a problem with them or their shows, but I can only do so much. And I kind of like associating my brand with Tucker and his conversation and his audience because I find his monologues tremendous. So I just want to be crystal clear. And people have sent me, we're going to play a couple of examples of things that people have said to me. Hey, this is what happened to you. Did you see when Newt Gingrich got cut off? Did you see when Ron Paul got cut off? That's not what happened to me. Let's play an example, and this is something the audience sent me of Newt Gingrich getting cut off on Fox.
Destroyed by this violence.
Yeah, it's so true. They represent everybody, right? Speaker Gingrich, I know you have a final thought for us.
Yeah, look, the number one problem in almost all these cities is George Soros elected left-wing, anti-police, pro-criminal district attorneys who refuse to keep people locked up. Just yesterday, they put somebody back on the street who's wanted for 2 different murders in New York City. You cannot solve this problem, and both Harris and Biden have talked very proudly about what they call progressive district attorneys. Progressive district attorneys are anti-police, pro-criminal, and overwhelmingly elected with George Soros's money, and they're a major cause of the violence we're seeing because they keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this.
I was going to say you get the last word, Speaker.
He paid for it. I mean, why can't we discuss the fact that millions of dollars he spent?
I agree with Melissa. George Soros doesn't need to be a part of this conversation.
Okay. So it's verboten.
All right, we're going to. Okay, we're going to move on. A historic day at the White House. We covered it from stem to stern. For major change.
That's not what happened to me. I'm just telling you. That is not what happened to me. What just happened to Newt Gingrich, and I don't know how old that is, and I get it. That's not a good look. That's, oh my God, he said George Soros. Someone's going to accuse us of being anti-Semitic. Don't do it. Don't talk about George Soros. That's not what happened to me. I was allowed to say exactly what I wanted to say, sent him the scripture that I was going to reference beforehand, told him what I was going to talk about. No one cut me off. We ran up against a commercial break. Now, that kind of thing there, again, and I've known Harris Faulkner. I've known of her, knew her back when she was an anchor in Kansas City early in my career as a sports columnist in Kansas City. Have a lot of respect for Harris Faulkner. And don't know the other 2 ladies whose voices you heard and one of them you saw on that show. But what I've been telling you, if you listen to this show, you know, through no fault of their own, but women have far more fear instinctively than men. And so it looked to me like in that instance, one of those women heard the name George Soros and got scared to death. Like, oh my God, I'm going to get called anti-Semitic and they're going to cancel me and Media Matters and someone's going to write about me and tweet about me and say, I want to distance myself from Newt Gingrich because he said George Soros. Men tend to know exactly what we're doing and willing to pay a consequence, willing to pay a price. This is a terrible generalization, but there's a reason why more men, far more men have died in war than women. because, we're not as scared as them, or we used to not be. Now that they've transitioned the entire culture, men are just as scared and full of fear. And oh my God, I better take 12 jabs and everything else because the worst, if I die and if I get this bad case of the flu they're calling COVID, my God, now they're transitioning us into women, no question. And that's why, everyone's afraid. Oh, don't mention George Soros. And he's paying for everything, as Newt Gingrich is pointing out. But don't mention him. There could be consequences for that. Anyway, that's not what happened to me. I'm going to give you another example of something that did not happen to me. And this one here, someone sent it to me, and I'm not even sure if this is a bad look for Fox, but here's Ron Paul getting cut off on Fox.
I think you're like a sort of a thin Rodney Dangerfield. You don't get any respect. Does that bug you?
Well, I think a lot of people think that. Certainly Jon Stewart thinks so. This whole idea. I mean, if you look, somebody told me, from this last debate, I thought I did rather well. And they went down the number of times they mentioned the other three candidates in the review of the debate. And it was, like 80, 90 times, depending on which it was. I was mentioned one time in all the discussion of the debate after it was over.
Right.
Now, you might argue I didn't win, or some people argue that I did.
You had the juice.
But it deserved more than one mention on all the stations. Somebody went and added these all up.
Thank you, Congressman.
So what's going on there? You're in this media business. I'd like to know exactly how that comes about.
I had a printout of...
So I don't even think Neil Cavuto was uncomfortable with Ron Paul was saying there. I think that was another commercial break situation. I don't think Ron Paul talking about the media being unfair to him made Fox uncomfortable, but who knows? People were sending it to me and they say, hey, now I'm part of a unique club of Ron Paul and Newt Gingrich. I've been cut off on Fox. That means you're over the target. That ain't what happened to me. I get it. I'm going to take this conversation a cut deeper, though, because I want to follow up on what I said on Tucker, and I want to follow up on the discussion we were having here yesterday about why I've pivoted to secession as a pathway forward, that we can't find common ground with these guys. I want to go a cut deeper on that, and I'm going to bring Robert Kennedy Jr. into that discussion. He's running for president on the Democratic ticket, or as a Democrat, he's running for president. He's going to be a part of the primary stuff. He's going to challenge Joe Biden. And I think that's fascinating and will lead us into a deeper discussion about why I say there's no common ground with the left and who's in control of the Democratic Party at this point. Before I do that, though, before we go a cut deeper, I want to take care of our friends and talk to you about a company that fits in with everything we're doing here at The Blaze, everything we're doing here with Fearless. You guys hear me talk about them. You saw me. I went out and I got the phone. I got the product myself. I believe in it that much. And I've been completely 1,001% satisfied with the service I'm getting from Patriot Mobile. I'm like most Americans, I've just had it. I'm done supporting companies that rake in hundreds of millions of dollars, sometimes billions, while trashing the country, while promoting Dylan Mulvaney and all this other crap and garbage. I'm not going to sit back and take it. That's why I switched to Patriot Mobile. Yes, it is difficult, or it feels, or it seems like, oh, it's so hard, I don't want to switch providers, and all the trouble, the paperwork, the blah, blah, it's going to change. It's worth it. I love my Patriot Mobile phone because I know I'm supporting a company that supports me and my biblical worldview and my values. I enjoy my Patriot Mobile phone. I'm just telling you, it makes me feel like I'm in this culture war for real, and that I'm contributing to creating a parallel economy. Patriot Mobile's America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. It offers dependable nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. Get the best possible service in your area. Plus, they offer a coverage guarantee. If you're not happy with your coverage, you can switch to a different network for free without changing carriers. All this plus the knowledge that you are supporting free speech, the sanctity of life, the Second Amendment, and our military and first responders. Their 100% US-based customer service team makes switching easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Jason or call them right now at 878-PATRIOT. Get free activation today with the offer code Jason. That's free activation. All you got to do is say my name, Jason. It's real easy. We need to stand together and support companies that share our values. That's patriotmobile.com/Jason or call 878-PATRIOT. Need you guys to do this. Make the switch with me. It's important that we support corporations that share our values. Few minutes of busy work and you'll be holding a phone and using a phone and you supporting a company that supports you as opposed to a company that hates you. Do it. Please. And send me an email about it. fearlessblazeshow@gmail.com. Now, let me pivot to the conversation that we were having yesterday and I was having on Tucker Carlson and about why I think we can't find common ground with the left. And we need to think about, hey, how do we go our separate ways? Do we grab muskets or do we negotiate some kind of deal and go our separate ways? But I still believe that's the right pathway. I had a very fascinating conversation with Royce White yesterday, but I want to go a layer deeper, and I think Robert Kennedy Jr. is actually going to illustrate and make my point. I believe the left and Democrats are going to savage Robert Kennedy Jr. That is Bobby Kennedy's son. That is John Kennedy's nephew. Robert Kennedy was on our cookout show about the COVID jab. This guy is a middle American. I mean, obviously he's an elite, he's a Kennedy, but his values are middle America. His values are not crazy. He's not an extremist. He's someone that reminds me of an old school Democrat. And what we're about to see is that old school Democrats aren't liked by new school Democrats. In fact, they're hated. That's my prediction on what we're about to see with Robert Kennedy. And it's going to put in perfect illustration how the Democratic Party would treat John F. Kennedy if he were alive today, and Bobby Kennedy if he were alive today. And I hope it's eye-opening for some of these people that this party that you think has all these great values, they have none. And it's because, and this is where we go a cut deeper, they're not tethered to anything concrete. This goes to my common ground deal. So you have people like me who, for better or for worse, I'm tethered to the Bible. When people get in my face over social media and throw up the Bible and scripture in my face, are you living up to this or blah, 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 I have to accept that because I've tethered my worldview to a written document that's been around for a couple thousand years. I'm standing on rock solid ground, and people have every right to call me out when I fall short. I need to live up to those standards spelled out in the Bible. I'm accountable to a worldview that's in writing for everybody to examine, for everybody to debate, for everybody to hold me to that standard. Totally fair. That's if you're a Christian. Now, if you're just a conservative and your beliefs are driven by politics, conservatives, Republicans, they're held to The Constitution. That's the written document that they must uphold and they pretend to hold as sacred. The Constitution. It's a written document. I like the Constitution because it's laced with biblical values. It was inspired by the Bible. That's why I like the Constitution. But at the end of the day, my loyalty is to the Bible. Fine, hold me to that standard. I like the Constitution. Again, it's attached to the Bible. And so Republicans are defenders of the Constitution for the most part. Democrats used to be attached to the Constitution, and many Democrats used to be attached to the Bible. But now the left has said the Bible is irrelevant. It's an inspiration for everything evil that has gone on in the world. And screw the Bible, we don't believe in God. And they've now said the Constitution, inspired by the Bible and written by man, it's irrelevant, and we don't have to hold to that standard because the people that wrote it owned slaves, and they didn't allow women to be equal to them. And so we don't have to respect anything in the Constitution. We don't have to respect anything in the Bible. And so how do you find common ground with people whose values are related to feelings, whose politics and policies and worldview are built around satisfying feelings? Feelings go with the wind. I could be, you know what, I feel like Wendy's tonight. Ooh, I want a double cheeseburger from Wendy's. And then I might get in my car and I drive past Popeyes and I go, you know, I was feeling like Wendy's, but that chicken sandwich from Popeyes, that's a better call. Let me turn into there. And then right before I turn into Popeyes, I see that White Castle sign off in the distance. Holy cow. And so you know what I end up doing? I hit all three, Wendy's, Popeyes, and White Castles. You can have it all. That's what Democrats do. Whatever they feel. Hey, you know what? I feel like a woman today, even though I have a stick and ball between my legs. And then, you know what? And so people like Bruce Jenner, again, they go exactly, and again, he's a bad example because he's a Republican, but what they end up doing, people like Bruce Jenner say like, man, I want to have it all. I'm going to keep my stick and balls, but I'm going to pretend to be a woman because that's how I feel. And this world that's based on feelings is a world that produces chaos. In order to have order, in order to have fairness, in order to have justice, in order to have equality, you must have some kind of agreed upon document that truth and justice and morality and everything is founded on, so that we can all go and say, okay, these words here mean X, Y, and Z, and we can debate what's in writing and the foundational documents that drive our society, our worldview. You can't debate feelings. You can't build legislation and a society around feelings. They just change too often. And so how can you find common ground with people who will change up on you day to day? Because, and we've been trying to do it. Republicans and conservatives have been trying to find common ground with people whose worldview is driven by feelings. How's it working out? Because here's what they felt like. Bill Clinton. You know what I feel like? I feel like abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. And then you know what he changed to? I feel like abortion should be on demand and just a part of birth control. And now Gretchen Whitmer is out in Michigan signing legislation. You know what? You can kill a baby all the way up until the date of birth. But remember, they started out, we just wanted safe, legal, and rare. Now we want abortion to be an all-you-can-eat buffet open to everybody. And then they felt like at the same time, you know, oh God, we just let these two men get married. If we just let two women get married, oh, utopia is just going to rain down and everybody's going to be happy. That's what they felt like. And then once the conservative Republicans gave in and said, yeah, you're right. Let these two men get married. Let these two women get married. Marriage is for everybody. What did they switch up to? Oh, well, now men can be women. Men can get pregnant. Men can go out and play basketball and football against women. Children, 6, 7, 8 years old, can decide their genders. Drag queens should be welcomed inside libraries and schools. Pedophiles aren't pedophiles. They're minor attracted people. That's what we feel like today. How do you find common ground with people whose whole life is driven by feelings? You can't. Their Bible is feelings. I got a million different feelings every day. Can't build a society if people don't want to stand on something concrete. The Bible is concrete, whether you like it or not. The Constitution is concrete, whether you like it or not. These two, the Bible and the Constitution, have served America incredibly well. Better than any other society in the history of the planet. But let's all throw it out the window because leftists feel like something different would be better. And leftists feel like whatever they feel like tomorrow will be some standard we all must adhere to. And so we're going to keep giving them rope, inches of rope, and they're just going to keep becoming wilder and wilder cowboys and cowgirls. And so we should let them have the United States of feelings. And we should look for returning to the United States of America based on a constitution that was inspired by the Bible. We're willing to stand on something in writing, a contract, our word. The collected wisdom, 2,000 years of collected wisdom. It doesn't matter whether you agree with the Bible. You have to acknowledge it's 2,000 years of collected wisdom. It's not reliant on whatever Nancy Pelosi is feeling or Barack Obama is feeling. It's 2,000 years of collected wisdom. It's a great document to build a society around. They want to throw it out the window. The Constitutions last 30, 40 years, most places. Ours has lasted 250. Hey, let's just throw it out the window because a group of idiots have decided George Washington, we're relitigating George Washington's character and Ben Franklin's character. And we're talking tough about what we would have done had we been back in the 1700s. Yeah, we would have ended slavery. We would have chosen death and probably, we would have did X, Y, and Z. Delano wrote it in a column this week and said it's like, you got people running around that won't say what a man and a woman is, but pretending like, oh man, if I was in the 1960s, I would have stood my ground on equality, and ain't no way I'd have been living in segregated schools and neighborhoods, and I would have been out on the front lines like Martin Luther King and those guys. A group of cowards that won't say there's two genders. We're supposed to believe they're the most courageous people walking around in America today, and that they would have done what Martin Luther King did, or what Frederick Douglass did, or what Abraham Lincoln did, or what Richard Allen did, or what George Washington did, or the countless men and women who sacrificed everything for America to become what it is and to grant freedom and equality to more people and more prosperity and more safety to more people than any country on the planet. This group of leftists running around talking tough now, they would have done that. Al Sharpton would have done that. You're in this audience, you're standing on a Bible or you're standing on the Constitution, and the other group is standing on air or something they can rewrite every other week. And you think you're going to find common ground with them? You think you can build a sustainable society with them? It cannot be done. And we're about to see it in real time with Robert Kennedy. He's going to be completely annihilated and destroyed by the Democrats because they would hate John Kennedy today. They would hate Bobby Kennedy today. Those guys wouldn't be considered Democrats. If John Kennedy, in one of his greatest speeches, asked not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. You can't say that as a Democrat. Everything the Democrats now is about being a victim. Ask how your country has exploited and oppressed you, and ask them for what reparations you're owed. That's what Democrats and leftists do today. What does America owe me, and how can I get it? That man would be run out of the Democrat Party, would be considered a nut job. It's about to be, they're about to expose themselves in terms of, you can't, there's no peace with people that live in a fantasy world and don't want to commit to anything concrete. Progressivism. Progress is whatever we feel today, and you must immediately pivot to whatever we feel today. And so if they tell you, hey, your kid should go to drag shows and drag queens should come in and teach your kids to read and write, you just go for it. I tweeted out today, some idiot, black dude, a politician or whatever, pictured next to some drag queen that was reading to a group of what appeared to be 7 to 10-year-olds. He's smiling and talking about how he's standing with the LGBTQ. And I'm like, you really this kind of a sellout? You taking pictures of yourself, smiling, some man dressed up as a woman, reading to little kids. This is your one shining moment? This is progress? So that's my take. That's my long-winded fire starter for today. When we come back, I'm going to pivot to this idea that 77-year-old John Hadley has pitched. If it does not go well, this may be John Hadley's last day of employment here. Not to put any pressure on Josh Alexander, but It's Hadley's idea. We'll see if the old man has any tricks left up his sleeve. Last thing before I go, make sure you guys go to fearlessarmyrollcall.com. There's still time for you to sign up. Bearing witness requires courage, not perfection. We're going to have a great time here in Nashville. Not this weekend, the following weekend. Still time for you to get here. It's just $100. Maybe it's 125. Can't remember. Go to fearlessarmyrollcall.com. Love to see you here. Want to inspire men. Want you to stand on your own 2 feet. Want to remind you of what we are standing on. The Bible. Rock solid ground. We're standing on that. And we're going to help you understand what standing on that actually means. There's a bunch of people pretending to stand on it that are at drag queen story hours and think it's a good thing. And think that, transgenderism and showing them, helping them get surgeries and gender affirming surgeries is the most important thing. Getting them to understand the Bible and who they really are is the most important thing. And perhaps if we didn't demonize men so much, we wouldn't have so many men trying to be women. Anyway, Josh Alexander, big moment for you guys as viewers of the show. Josh is going to determine whether or not you guys are a part of this show on a more regular basis. All that next. Atheists, the secular world, the culture uses our imperfection, our sins to shut up. You can't stand on truth. And if all it was imperfection, it eliminated us from standing on truth, this would be a very quiet place. I'm trying to be as loud as I can and as transparent as I can to try to inspire other men. We know you're imperfect. You know you're imperfect. God's grace and mercy gives you the right to stand on his truth and to speak that loudly into the culture, and we have to do that.
You can look around and say, these guys have taken over everything. They own the CDC, the NIH, they got the president. Is transgender surgery for children? Colleges today are nothing but leftist indoctrination centers working fully against the Bible. What's the alternative? So you're gonna stop fighting today and you're gonna let the government raise your kids? And you're gonna turn around and let them chop off your 12-year-old daughter's breasts and let them sterilize your son and tell him that he's a girl? And you're gonna let them make the Bible hate speech? You're the last line of defense here, because nobody else is gonna do it, and God's gonna walk with you. This is literally worth dying for. Absolutely. I'm telling you, so it's like everybody, that's a nice little metaphor. This is it. If there's a hill to die on, this is it.
The Overton window has been moved right in front of our children's bedrooms. And there are all types of people that are trying to climb up in the ladder. And every good father should be on his post so that when they peek their head up over the windowsill, you kick the ladder back down, let them know you move on to the other house, because we're not playing that around here.
Sometimes just standing up, just saying, no, we're not going to do that. Not my marriage, not my kids, not my family, not my community, not my church, not my city. Just declaring that, that's victory enough. In prepping his disciples, he tells Peter, he's like, listen, Satan desires to sift you as wheat, but I've prayed for you. We're gonna face some ups and downs in life, and we're not gonna always get it together. But if we stay on the path, if we stay chasing after, running after Jesus, running after his way, he's even praying for us. Now, I like it when you pray for me, Jason and TJ. I appreciate that, but to have Jesus pray for me, that makes me feel pretty good. When you make it through this sifting process, go back and strengthen your brothers. So we all have a responsibility as men. Once he's delivered me through this, I have a responsibility to go back and bring some other folk out.
You do a roll call to just let people know you're not alone, be confident in your positions, and we're going to inspire you. We're going to eat, fellowship, listen to some music. It's going to be the first of many roll calls that we do. So we're looking for soldiers. We're going to put on our best recruiting pitches for soldiers. All right, welcome back. Can we throw the picture of Hadley up, the young John Hadley? I think this was taken on Hadley's 61st birthday. John, I believe now is, he's 77. John is now 77 years old. This may be John's last day of employment. If this doesn't go well, he's been insisting that we get the audience involved in the show. He thought the approval rating app was a great way to bring the audience into the show. If this goes well, perhaps we will have more of you on the show. If it doesn't go well, Hadley will be fired. And we don't know how he'll pay for the nursing home he's staying in, but we wish him well and luck. And so let's roll out to Joshua Alexander, who I did look at some of his work on the approval rating app or some of his ratings, and I was outraged by one particular rating in particular, Shannon Sharpe. And so, Josh, welcome to the show. I don't want you to feel any pressure, but there's an old white man's job dependent upon your performance today. So you look like Killer Mike's little brother, so I hope you do a good job. Josh, first of all, where are you from? Where give your name, rank, serial number. How old are you? Sports fan? What? Give me a little background.
Jason, thank you for bringing me on the show. Love it. Delano's my favorite, so shout out to Delano. Shamika's hilarious. A little bit about me. I'm 34. I live in Central Florida. I watched the show. I've been watching you since the show back with Colin, and Colin followed you here, and good man. You've taught me a lot. Really have opened my eyes to different things.
Thank you. You've already made a mistake by saying Delano is your favorite when I would have to be your favorite. Although I've looked through the approval rating app and you've yet to rate me. I saw you got Delano at a 78. That makes me probably a 98. I will be checking back to see how you rate Delano. But let me get to my point. Shannon Sharpe, a 71. This man is a hot mess. I want you to justify how you get this man a 15 in job performance, a 16 in character, 22 in what is his brand, and then a 22 in brand, and then an 18 in it factor for a 71. You got him at a grease fire. This man's a clear dumpster fire. How you like this show and like Shannon Sharpe at the same time?
You can like both. So the job performance, when I do this, no one will ever be, the only person that will ever be 100 is Jesus Christ. The only person that ever be a 0 to me would be the devil. So everyone's in between. Shannon, I'm rating him from 1968 when he was born until today. I'm not starting from undisputed until now. So when it comes to job performance, Hall of Famer, can't beat it. The show he's on is not the best right now. It's kind of getting its butt kicked ratings-wise, so that's why he's not too high. Character, shows up to work every day. It takes a lot of character to have the muscles as well. I don't have him super high because I do think he's sometimes a character, and I think that deletes his character in terms of his performance. Brand, he has a nickname, Uncle Shay Shay. Once you have that nickname, you got a brand. And it factor, 18, because he does have buzz when something's going on, good or bad. So 71 out of 100, too bad.
Not a bad explanation, although I completely disagree with it. But I now at least understand where you're coming from. And so with that said, I want to move on to your rating of this show. If Shannon Sharpe is a 71, this show's got to be a 99, and somehow you got my show at a 76. What? A 16 in impact?
Yeah.
Only a 20 in authenticity? Please help me understand. Make it make sense.
I know the big elephant in the room is impact, right? Impact to me means that I've seen the show hit medium. You're having the cookout coming up soon, right?
Yeah.
Once that cookout goes by, and I'm sure there's going to be video, I'm actually going to see what it's doing to change lives. Then the impact may go up. But as for now, because I haven't seen it yet, now that the impact's where it's at, let me prove it to me first, and then you get the respect.
Josh, and I'm going to let you go after this, and you've done a good job. But I thought you started out this thing saying from the get-go the show's had an impact on you.
Right.
Why does it?
Yeah, so impact on me, but I'm talking about overall in terms of worldwide. That's what it is. So I'm just me. I don't take myself as the know-it-all, be-all. I'm talking about once I see the video with you guys, I think it's next week, right, in Tennessee?
Yeah.
The cookout?
Roll call.
Yeah. If I see that call and it looks great, be a lot of young men and older men just learning, developing, then I'll see the impact jump up. I'm not a me guy, I'm a we guy. So I want to see more people impacted. If it was me impact, definitely higher. And when you do have the cookout in Florida, I'm in. I just can't afford the tickets and all that right now. But if you ever have it in Florida, count me in.
Josh, thank you so much for taking the time. John Hadley thanks you for saving his job. We may do more of this. You guys download the app. Thank you, Josh. You guys download the app, put some ratings in. Maybe you'll catch my eye, maybe you'll catch Hadley's eye, and we'll have you on the show to discuss your approval rating. I kind of like that, Hadley. That's a good idea. We may get you some extra oatmeal tomorrow morning at the nursing home. Good job. That's tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.
I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on the corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be, I just want, I wanna be, I just want, I wanna be, I just want.